Hi, this is Brandon Redeker with the Fiesta Movement, and I'm coming to you from the X Games Brazil with one of the Fiesta ST Global Rallycross drivers, Tanner Foust. So we got a few questions here for Tanner, and we'll put together one heck of a good interview for everyone. All right, Tanner, how did you get your start in Global Rallycross?
About 4 years ago, I went to Europe and ran European Rallycross. And Rallycross is a sport that's been around since 1967 in Europe. If you remember, the rally cars that were Group B rally cars had 900 horsepower and were made illegal. Rallycross was the retirement ground for those. They put them door to door at a track called Lydden Hill in England, and the series spread from there. I saw a video with Marcus Grönholm racing in Sweden in one of these little Fiestas while I was drifting, and I thought, you know what, that looks like a kick in the ass. I'm going to have to go try that out. And I went, got in touch with Andreas, who owns OlsbergsMSE. We put together a deal for the very first X Games that we used the Ford, which was in 2009, to use the cars from the Pikes Peak Hill climb that they did. Sure. All right. And then I was hooked and started racing European Rallycross. And then when it caught on in the States with GRC, I was all both feet in.
Great. Great. What preparations has the team made to the Fiesta ST for competing in Brazil?
Well, the Fiesta ST Rallycross car is quite a departure from the street car. It does share the platform, the wheelbase, a lot of the dimensions, the engine. There are some similarities, but virtually everything else is made purposely for racing. So it has a lot of safety equipment, pretty extravagant roll cage setup. Nearly 575 horsepower, nearly 600 horsepower, depending on the temperature. It is a 2-liter turbocharged engine, just like the Focus ST, where the Fiesta ST is a 1.6, and it's all-wheel drive, and so it's able to put that much power to the ground pretty effectively.
Sure. What tuning parameters are changed for the EcoBoost engines to deal with the different atmospherics that we have here in Brazil compared to what you deal with in Europe?
Well, I mean, luckily we all breathe oxygen, you and me and the car also. So there's a very similar amount of oxygen everywhere you go, more based on altitude than anything else. Okay. But the humidity here does affect the car a little bit, and the hotter it is, the more humid it is, and the higher altitude it is, it can be a little bit more of a struggle to make power.
Sure.
So we just have to be a little more conservative with some of the tuning.
Okay. And the production Fiesta ST, which I had a chance to drive today, by the way, has a provision for overboost for 23 PSI. How much? It is very impressive when overboost kicks in. How much boost does the Global Rallycross Fiesta ST produce?
I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 48 pounds. But again, that changes with the temperature. Sure. And how aggressive the engine is set up. 23 out of the stock car is amazing, though.
It was amazing.
I mean, this 1.6, not a lot of people know how well sorted that engine is. It's been turbocharged and tuned for years, and so there's a lot of great data on exactly how hard you can push that motor. I was lucky enough to drive a mount-tuned version of that car in England a couple weeks ago, and it was making an additional, 30 or 40 horsepower, and it was amazingly quick. So the platform has a lot of potential.
Oh, that is awesome, especially for those of us who enjoy tuning our cars for the street. The Fiesta ST looks like it'd be a great platform for that. So, do the teams have a different tire compound or tread patterns that you get to use for Rallycross, or is it pretty much a spec tire that you have to use?
There is a spec tire. Obviously, tires are very critical. That's where the power meets the road, and so to keep things fairly uniform, the spec tire has to be basically within 10 inches of width. Our tire is a Cooper tire, and we have a choice of 2 different compounds, but we all run the same tread pattern, and that keeps things pretty even.
What are one of the compounds do you use for this weekend at the Rallycross in Brazil?
They have long digits associated with them, and I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I would imagine we'd run just about as soft as we can, okay. Even with the temperature. Sure. Because it's a gravel track, it could be slippery.
All right, and if the final race is held during the rain, what changes to the car will the teams be able to do to help you cope with the different conditions?
Well, if we're running in the rain here, it's a bad deal because the clay turns into just slime, and it'd be like ice. So, or maybe it's really worse than ice, to be honest with you. Plus, it cakes to the bottom of the car, so I'd imagine we'd spray the underside of the car with grease, okay. To keep the mud from sticking. and make sure we have some decent tires on there and hold on.
All right, well, I don't think it's going to rain, but it sounds like it'd be very exciting in case it did. As a driver, how much input do you give the mechanics and engineers on what parameters to change on the car to set it up from practice to qualifying to the final race?
Well, there's a couple levels of the setup that you have to do. And one, you need to get the car pretty easy to drive and make the car predictable, something you're comfortable throwing into a dangerous scenario and knowing it's going to pull you out. And once you get to that level, then and that can be done with the team really together, then you really have to have the driver giving all the feedback after that, because now it's starting to apply to the driver's style and really specific preferences and specifics on the track that they can only feel, the team can't experience. So the driver feedback is a critical part, and for us, we make sure that we talk about it directly after we get out of the car, because as a driver, not saying I had too much fun in college, but it's easy to forget, and so it's important that you talk about it straight away.
After you get done with qualifying, are the cars pretty much in parc fermé conditions where you can't touch them anymore until the final race?
Once we're done with qualifying, it's actually a haul overnight, and we actually have some heats, and no, we can still work on them. We can still make changes throughout the event. Most of this event is made up by practice, and then once you get into the heats, you really only race the heats, the last chance qualifier, and then the final. Okay. And so you only have 2 or 3 options to get it done. So there's not a lot of changes you're going to make. And then after the event, the cars are put in parc fermé, where they are not allowed to be touched by the mechanics. We're allowed to take our cameras and our helmets so that we can pack our bags for the flight home, but then if there's any questions about legality of a car, nobody's touched it, and they have a chance to check it out.
Have you driven the track yet? And if you have, any predictions you can make on who's going to be one of the strongest competitors for this weekend? I know I've talked to one of the other drivers racing against you, and they seem to indicate you're going to be one of the toughest to beat out there.
Well, it's nice of them to say. I have been on the track, not in the race car, just in the stock Fiesta ST, which, by the way, you drove also?
Yes, I drove the pace car as well as the blue ST today.
Those are 2 of 6 on the planet.
Wow.
So it's very, very cool.
Very cool indeed.
But I think the track conditions are going to change quickly. Okay. And so it's going to be less about the guy with the car control and less about the car with the best car necessarily, sure. More about the guy who can adapt to changing tracks. Those are typically the off-road racers, so I'm going to be looking out for Deegan and Menzie. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Tanner. We really appreciate you taking the time with us today for the Fiesta Movement, and we cannot wait to see how well you do on the Rallycross with the Fiesta ST. We'll be cheering on all the Fiesta teams, as we are huge Ford and Fiesta fans. So thank you so much. Best of luck this weekend in Brazil, and best of luck with the rest of the 2013 Rallycross series. Thank you so much.